Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back with another video. How's everybody doing? So, it's week 5. We're going to be going through all the games that are happening this week, give you my picks and predictions and hot takes and hot air, all that stuff, as we do every week. This is actually my 4th year doing this. Started in 2016, and actually, I forgot in every subsequent year that I did this, and then a bunch of people reminded me, and that's why we're doing it again. So basically, as you can imagine, I'm probably like the biggest football fan there. Probably a little bit too much. I think I watch a little bit too much of this stuff. Like I will watch the worst Thursday night game. Like I will watch Bengals at Buccaneers in London. Like I'll watch like just the most obscure game, whatever it is. When it's on, it's on. You know what I mean? So, anyways, we're going through all the games. This is week 5. Can you believe this season is almost a third gone? It's too bad, you know. I don't know. I guess I'm just too much of a fan. I mean, I'll admit it. I'm addicted to this football. I just can't get enough. It's kind of sad, you know. So it's already more than a quarter of the way gone here. It's too bad. What are you gonna do? Anyways, all right. So we're gonna go through all the games this week as we always do, and I'll tell you what I think. First game tonight, Thursday night. We got the Rams at the Seahawks. Both teams are 3-1. NFC grudge match here. You know, it's like. Well, first thing I actually want to say is, so not that like I'm paid to say this or anything, but so Thursday night games this season, or I guess a lot of them, if not all of them, or most of them, or whatever, are being broadcast in 4K. I think last week was the first 4K NFL game ever. Now, in order to watch it, I'm not sure how you would watch it, but the way I watched it is I've got. Basically on my TV, there was like a really high number channel I had to put on TV, and I got the game at 4K. It was freaking amazing. Like I remember, you know, several years ago when they first started broadcasting the games in HD, and I looked at that, I was like, oh my god, this is like the best thing I've ever seen. And then now it's in 4. Then you get used to that, and then now it's in 4K, and it's even better. Like I really think it's unbelievable. Matter of fact, I think it's about time that they broadcast the games in 4K. You know, because they've had the technology to do that forever. You know, I know it costs a lot of money to upgrade it. Not everybody's had 4K TVs until recently, and you know everything like that. But it's you know, I mean, come on, it's like about time. I want to see the games in 4K. Let's go. You know, so it was really great picture. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. If not for the football, at least for the 4K. Tremendous picture, unbelievable. So anyways, tonight Rams at Seahawks. So these two teams have been interesting this season. I'd say first of all the Seahawks. The Seahawks are, I think, one of the only teams in the league, other than the Patriots, that year in and year out are able to put a competitive team, you know, on the field. Like, you know, usually, you know, most teams, you'll have a good year or a couple good years, few good years, and then they can't keep it together, right? Like, I mean, look at every Super Bowl winning team that isn't the Patriots over the last several years. Like, who won last? Was the Eagles? A couple years ago, and then they didn't, you know, they made a quick playoff exit last year. Who knows what's going to happen this year? You know, so it's like, you know, they're 2-2. Go back to whoever won before that was the Broncos, and they completely. I mean, what have they done in the last few years? Nothing. They're awful. I think have they even won a game? I don't even know. Yeah, no, they're 0-4. All right. I mean, there you go. It's like most teams just can't keep it together. The Seahawks, on the other hand, you know, they won Super Bowl 2013. They lose Super Bowl to the Patriots in 2014. Well, the game was actually in February 2015. But, you know, not that they've, you know, made, like, deep playoff runs every year, but they haven't been like, you know, 3-13. You know what I mean? Like, they've been pretty darn good, you know, every year. So, I don't know. Like, I kind of gotta give them the credit for that because, I mean, the league's down this year, all right? These teams are just not. It's you know, I mean, you got all the quarterbacks injured, players injured, teams that can't put it together, coaches that don't have a clue. Freddie Kitchens. Even I kind of like Freddie Kitchens, but you know, he just doesn't know what he's doing on there. So you know, what are you gonna do? But anyways, you gotta give the Seahawks credit for keeping it together. Rams, on the other hand, again, another team I'd put in this category, even though it's only been, you know, like you know, 8 months since the Super Bowl. You know, they lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but, you know, they come back. They're 3-1. You know, and are they legit? I don't know, because, I mean, they just, I mean, look at what happened to the Rams last week. When I saw this score, I thought it was like a misprint or a typo or something like that. Last week, the LA Rams, I still call them the Saint. Well, I guess you have to call them the LA Rams. The LA Chargers, I'm calling them the San Diego Chargers. I don't care. That's what I'm calling them. The Rams last week lost 55-40 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, 55-40 to the Buccaneers. Ouch. Like, the strength of the Rams, I know the offense was good, but they had a tremendous defense. I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. You saw it last year. Wade Phillips, I think, does a great job on that defense. Give up 55 points. 55 points to Jameis Winston and the sorry Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That blows. Like, that's a problem. So I don't know. Like, I can't take a team seriously after that happens. I just can't. It's in Seattle. Seattle is just looking good. I mean, you look at Russell Wilson, looks like himself. I know they don't have the Legion of Boom and all that. That they had of yesteryear is no more. But they're still figuring out ways to make plays. They're still they've got the mojo there. It's in Seattle. I got Seattle winning this game. It seems like they got the horsepower for this game here. It seems like the Rams. I don't know. It feels like they're going through the motions. You know what I mean? Like, just there's something, like something's not quite right there. I don't know what. I think it's the coach, and I think it's the quarterback. The coach, I think, is a smart football guy, but I don't know if he has, how would I describe this? I don't know if he has the balls to just stand in there and make the big time calls or He couldn't go toe to toe with a guy like Belichick or Pete Carroll even. Like, I don't know. He just seems like he's a little bit. I don't know. He's a little bit too wound a little bit too tight. This guy. The other thing too, you look at the quarterback Jared Goff. I'm sorry, he's not. I don't think he's not good. Ever since that Super Bowl, I think Jared Goff sucks. Like that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen, and I just. Look, the story of the Rams is all the weapons on offense and their defense, okay? Like, the quarterback, doesn't do it for me. I got Seattle win this game. Next game up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Carolina Panthers. Give me the Carolina Panthers. No, you know what? No. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Garner Minshew comes in. I know there's all these memes about him. I think it's dumb. I really do. Like, Jacksonville's a team that's just waiting to get popped in the mouth by a better team. I mean, it's difficult because the league's down this year. A lot of teams are just, like 2-2 at best at this point. I mean, if you look at the Jaguars' schedule here, you look at who they're going to be playing. They've got obviously the Panthers on Sunday, and they've got the Saints. I can't wait to talk about the Saints. I think the Saints are unbelievable. I mean, without Drew, how many teams in the NFL they lose their best quarterback? If they lose, a Drew Brees would just implode. And they go there with Teddy Bridgewater, what is it, 2 years after he, Bruce almost lost his leg. He's out there making plays, just unbelievable. They're winning on defense. Tremendous. So you don't have to look any further than next week to see when this, this stupid this little Jaguars run, this little Garner Minshew, little storybook situation is going to come to an end. It's going to be next week. I'm not in on the Jaguars. I really think they suck. And, who have they beaten? All right, let's look at who the Jaguars have beaten. Have they beat the Chiefs? No. They beat the Patriots? No. Have they beat, who have they beat? Okay, this is who they beat. You ready? All right. They lost to the Chiefs, okay? They lost to the Texans. They beat the Tennessee Titans. They eked out a 2-point win over the Denver Broncos, and you're going to be high on the hog on this team? I'm sorry. They still think they suck. There's the whole Jalen Ramsey drama. I guess he's not going to. It's just that team's a few fries short of a Happy Meal. I got give me Carolina win this game. It's in Carolina anyways. Next game, I could care less. Arizona Cardinals 0-3-1. Cincinnati Bengals 0-4. I mean, woof! What a disaster. Give me Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Why not? Next game up, Atlanta Falcons at the Houston Texans. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons, it's kind of sad. They lost the Super Bowl a few years ago, and since then, it's largely the same team. It's like they're just dead. I don't know what to say about these Falcons team. They should be a lot better than 1-3. And they're not. At the same time, Deshaun Watson and the Texans should be a lot better than 2-2, and they're not. So, I mean, everything, up is down, left is right. I mean, everything's upside down this season. It really is. It's in Houston. You know what? Give me Atlanta winning the game. They're not going to go to 1-4. I just don't see how that. I mean, and Houston's another team too. This is kind of the pretty common story here, common storyline. How many of these teams have there been that were doing really well, that were made these runs like Deshaun Watson? It looked like a couple of years ago was going to take the league by storm with these mobile young quarterbacks, and then that kind of dried up. The Falcons go to the Super Bowl, unstoppable, high-powered offense, that dries up. It's like nobody can keep their shit together, all right? Just nobody can, and it's, I don't know, it just makes for a bad product. But give me Atlanta win this game. Next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. Get the heck out of here. Give me the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are a tank of a football team, right? And I don't mean tank like the Miami Dolphins are trying to tank. I mean tank like they are unstoppable, all right? Drew Brees goes down, I'm like, oh man, because I thought, Super Bowl favorites right here, this New Orleans Saints team after what happened last year. It's like, you just thought like, okay, this is the team, and then Drew Brees goes down, and I know it wasn't for the whole season, but it's like still, he's got 6 games at least. Well, they can't. How many? You need to win like 3 of those games, right? Because then you're going to be like a wild card team, and you could get in trouble. And they're going out there and they're doing it with Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill and defense and run game. Like, it's unbelievable, this team. I mean, so imagine if you add, they're playing so well that imagine when you put Drew Brees back on this team. I mean, I think this is one of those things, like, if you go back to, like, 2016 when Tom Brady was suspended for the first 4 games of the season, and then the team ended up going, 14-2 and winning the Super Bowl, or, like, other examples could be, matter of fact, there aren't many, because usually when, a team loses its best player for an extended period of time, that's kind of the end of the team. New Orleans, like, I just feel like, there's certain examples, like I mentioned, that, you lose your best player and you have to learn to, play a different way. It just makes the team better, because you can't just sit back and wait for Drew Brees to bail you out with 30 seconds left in the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just makes the team better, and I think that's certainly what's happened with the Saints. I'm high on the Saints. Saints are winning this game. Not that it was much of a question. I just kind of wanted to talk about the Saints. Next game up, Minnesota Vikings at the resurgent New York Giants. So the New York Giants, they've sucked for... They were good in 2016, awful 2017, awful last year. They come out this year, it looks like it's going to be, more of the same. Week 1, blown up by the Cowboys. Week 2, blown up by the Buffalo Bills. Week 3, they beat again, I don't know what it is about the Buccaneers, but they beat the Buccaneers by 1 point. Last week, they beat the Redskins 24-3. They got Daniel Jones going. They put, Eli on the bench. And, I think some of that has to do with, some of it has to do with talent, and some of it has to do with, they mix some things. This team's not all of a sudden going to, like, win every game this season and go, that's not going to happen. But, it does seem like they're, put it this way, they couldn't have got much worse than how they were. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But, nonetheless, you look at this team, and I just feel like, finally there's signs of life down there with this New York Giants team. So, gotta like that. Minnesota Vikings, on the other hand, are a team that since they beat the Saints in 2017 have chronically underachieved in every sense of the word. Like, it's unfreaking believable. The Minnesota Vikings are one of these teams where it's like, okay, you beat the Saints in a close win, and once again, they just completely fall apart. It was a team that used to be strong on defense. They had a great defense. Mike Zimmer was the guy who I thought he was a good coach. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but it's like, all these teams, it's like they get too close to the sun, and then it's just a precipitous decline. Week 1, they beat the Falcons 28-12. Doesn't really say anything. They lose to the Packers. They blow out the Raiders. They lose to the Bears. And, you can start to see what the problem is here. You got, Stephon Diggs. You got, freaking quarterback is absolutely awful on that team. Kirk Cousins blows. Adam Thielen, you got, Diggs wants a trade. Apparently now there's a report he doesn't want to be traded. I mean, I can think of some teams that could use him. They're 2-2. The offense, I mean, you can see. I mean, if you lose to the Packers and Bears, but you beat the Falcons and the Raiders, I mean, that's a pretty clear story that you're pretty much, when you face a tough defense, you fold. And when you've got weapons like Thielen and Diggs, you shouldn't be having this kind of dysfunction. And it's clear that there's a lot of dysfunction on this team. It was just too bad because, I mean, it's like these teams just can't keep it together. They're going to New York. There's just no signs of the drama letting up. I got the Giants winning this week, and if the Giants do win this game, watch out, because then the Giants are 3-2. You know, the league's down, and all of a sudden they start to get back into the conversation here, and you know that's I think that's interesting. Like, see, I always, you know, falsely equate the Giants of now with the Giants of old, like Tom Coughlin, you know, and just guys like that, like 2007, 2011, tough, gutting it out, 10-6, 11-5, tough defense, pass rush, you know, just, you know, nails, you know, Tom Coughlin, just tough football team. And then, of course, the last few years, they've totally lost their way. It's just going to be a complete disaster. But, you know, if they start turning the corner here, and I know, like, the brain trust that was there is not there anymore, you know, in Tom Coughlin, but I just feel like, I don't know, I don't like to count out the New York Giants. I just feel like that's, you know, it's not like one of these teams like the Bengals, or like one of these teams that just doesn't matter. Like, the Giants are a team that just feels like they have to be like, they have to be able to do something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I feel like it's something like with the Raiders. Like, I feel like the league, it hurts the league when teams like the Raiders and the Giants, you know, and you know, who else? The Saints, the Steelers, you know, just these storied teams, when they play poorly, like the league's down. The Cowboys, you know, it adds to the league when those, you know, big, you know, important teams have, you know, are not just completely awful. So, anyways, I got the Giants winning this game, and I feel like it's gonna start stirring the pot if that happens. Next game up, Chicago Bears going to Oakland. Bears defense picking up right where they left off last season. Oakland, see, I always like to pick Oakland just because I'm nostalgic for the whole Gruden thing, and I just kind of root for Gruden. You know, he loses Brown. Vontaze Burfict gets, what happened? It was suspended or whatever. I think, is this game in London? I think it might be. You know, not that I'm sad about Vontaze Burfict. The guy sucks. He doesn't belong in the league. What an animal. Just cheap shot artist. You know, but you look at the Bears, you look at their defense, you know, no matter how much I want to pick Oakland, I have to, you know, they're coming all the way around the world from, let me just see here. I just want to make sure this is the game I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that this game is going to be the one that's in London. And let me check. Yeah, it is. It is in London. All right, so now you got to go all the way from California to London. Forget that. It just, yeah, this just screams Bears. Yeah, I got the Bears. Give me the Bears in this game. All right, next game, New York Jets at the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not even a question. 0-3, 2-2. However, I do want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles for a second. Philadelphia Eagles are a team I could go either way on. Like, I just feel like there's this, I don't know, like you saw it in Super Bowl 52 when they beat the Patriots, like just that gadgety, high octane. No, it's not like the Chiefs, but you know, just that gadgety creativity on offense. Like that team's got some stones. You know what I mean? Now I'm not saying that they're the team that won the Super Bowl, that they're a great team, but I just feel like they can turn it on when they want to. You know what I mean? It's just a question of, you know, if they're going to be able to do that. Like if you look at the Eagles' schedule, for instance. Like you come up here, you look at the Eagles' schedule, and you just try to like forecast how the season's going to go. Obviously, I got them beating the Jets this week. Vikings next week could lose. Cowboys could lose. Bills could lose. Bears could lose. I mean, those are all teams with good defenses. Patriots lose. Seahawks lose. Dolphins win. Giants win. Redskins win. Cowboys lose. I mean, so we just rattled off like 6 losses right there, and they've already got 2. 8-8, it's not going to get the job done. But at the same time, this team's got the tools in the toolbox to be able to kind of, you know, write their own story here. So it's a question whether or not they want to do that. I feel like their coach, Doug Peterson, is one of the few. I mean, there's really not many. I mean, he's also obviously he's not like in Belichick's category, even though he did beat the Patriots that year. But that was more of a story of that neither team played. First of all, Super Bowl 52 was one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen. Anybody who thinks that was a good Super Bowl thinks it was just because the Patriots lost. There was no defense in that Super Bowl. Neither team played a lick of defense. All right, there was like I think each team had one stop in that whole Super Bowl. Okay, that was one of the most god-awful garbage games I've ever. I mean, that was like, you know, and I know some people think like, you know, people say like defense wins championships. There was no defense going on in that game. Like, no, that was a track meet. Whoever had the ball last was going to win. That was garbage. There was just no Nothing going on in that game. It was just trick. It was the NBA on grass or AstroTurf or whatever. Okay, it was like gadgety trick plays, RPOs, and no defense for 60. Like just that. There's just, I don't know. There's nothing interesting about it. It's a bunch of guys playing catch. Like it's not. I don't know. There's just nothing interesting about that one. Anyways, though, they clearly have a good amount of ability and talent. It's just whether or not what direction they're going to go in here. But no matter what, they have enough to beat the Jets in Philadelphia. Nice thing about Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Give me Baltimore. Pittsburgh is a listing ship that is taking on water. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lose Week 1 to the Patriots. They lose Ben Roethlisberger for the season to injury. Baltimore is coming in here. I'm high on the Ravens. I like Lamar Jackson. I like what they can do. Definitely improved from last year. However, at the same time, they are 2-2. You look at the Ravens' record here going into Pittsburgh. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Chiefs. They gave the Chiefs everything they could handle. They blew up the Dolphins, and they beat the Cardinals. As far as this game goes, you look at the Steelers, on the other hand, who are an absolute unmitigated disaster. I mean, I don't think I saw a stat, like, they haven't been this bad since, like, the 70s. Like, they lose to the Patriots, lose to the Seahawks, lose to the 49ers, and then they beat the Bengals, but that's... I mean, come on, that doesn't really count. But anyways, they got Baltimore's coming to town. Baltimore's got enough talent. I mean... could the Steelers get energized because of their win over the Browns? Yeah. No, I'm not really high on that. But anyways, Baltimore winning this game. I'm always high on Baltimore. Whenever I think of Baltimore, even though those guys aren't there anymore, I always think of like Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, tough defense, hard hitting, hard nosed Baltimore brawl. Like that's what I always think about when I think about Baltimore. Even though not all those people are still there, but at the same time, this Pittsburgh team is a mess. Next thing, Buffalo Bills at Tennessee. Give me the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills gave the Patriots everything they could handle last week in their game, which I wanted to see a different game. So I got an NFL Sunday ticket, which is awesome because I'm not going to watch every game. But what ends up happening is like I don't know, like there's like teams I would have known more about, I know less about because I'm kind of flipping through every different, these different games with different teams, which is why I know a lot about different teams, but I don't know, as much as I like about every team. It'll be like, see, the thing with the Sunday ticket, and I'm not, if you have, so like I got a Sunday ticket, but it's like it's like an app, like it's a standalone subscription. If you have DirecTV and you've got like the full service, I'm wondering, because I don't have it because it's just satellite coverage. It's going to go out too much. It's a mess. But I'm wondering if you have DirecTV, if you can like, if each game is a channel and you can like pause each one and go back and forth. Because with this one, it's basically just starts a stream for each different game. Like there's no pausing and rewinding or anything like that. But whatever. So Buffalo, by the way, Sunny Tick, freaking amazing. I got a huge discount on it. It's just amazing, tremendous. Love it. I love being able to just see it because it's always terrible when you put on the TV and it's like there's some games on that are good. And of course there's CBS, Fox, and NBC. NBC just does the Sunday Night Football. So there's CBS and Fox. And there's like all these exciting, there's a few exciting games and there's all these games going on. And then the two they want to show you is like Cincinnati, Tampa, and like Arizona Jets. Like some disaster situation, you know what I mean? But whatever. So Buffalo at Tennessee. Buffalo's defense is freaking amazing. I mean, it is legit. You saw what they did to the Patriots last week. You saw that game. It's a legit defense. They got, a lot of talent linebacker, a lot of talent, a lot of speed in the secondary. Clearly, Josh Allen blows. He awful. Complete disaster. Can't stand the guy. It would just, oh my God. I mean, I know you got a concussion, and obviously, you don't want to see that, but oh my God. I thought that the Bills got better when he was out of the game, and they brought in the backup guy. Whatever his name was, but just the backup for the Bills. It's not something you really, commit to memory. But nonetheless, it's just tremendous defense. Tennessee regressed in a hard way after last season. I mean, Tennessee's 2-2, but you look at the strength of victory here. They go in, they beat, who was it? It was last week. They beat the Falcons. They lose to the Jaguars, they beat the Browns, they lose to the Colts. So the Browns in week 1 and the Falcons anytime basically suck. Colts got some, there's some, how do I say this? There's some moxie there with the Colts. Jaguars, you can kind of say the same thing about. And they lost to those teams, and they beat the garbage teams. Tells you everything you need to know. Buffalo's got a stout defense. I got them going to 4-1. Still, they have no offense. Like, as soon as, if they play like Kansas City, who I don't believe they do, but I mean, if they play any of these teams that have some, have a high octane offense, they're not going to be able to keep up. Next game, New England Patriots at Washington Redskins. So this is time for my weekly rant about the fact that nobody talks enough about the Washington Redskins. And I don't mean that because they're good, because they're 0-4. And going into this week, they didn't know if the coach and the quarterback would be the same or whatever. Like, they're going to fire the coach. They didn't know if the quarterback would be the same guy. So, it's like complete train wreck. They suck, all right? The Reds, I'm not trying to tell you they're good. However, if you sit down and you watch like NFL Network or ESPN or any of these channels, you will hear more about like the friggin' Arizona Diamondbacks than you'll hear about the Washington Redskins. You will hear more about like the Saskatchewan Sabertooths, which is like the name that I just made. It's probably like the name of a hockey team, and I just made it up. Like you hear, I don't know why no one talks about the Redskins. I don't understand it. It's like you hear about every other team. You hear about Tampa, Cincinnati, suck teams, Arizona, but they never tell you about the Redskins. I don't know why. There's just no. I mean, we're talking about a franchise that used to be one of, if not the most important teams in the NFL. Okay. The 70s, the 80s, the Hogs, that team was the NFL. I mean, there's Washington, Dallas, Detroit, like the Packers, Bears, like those old, historical, storied teams, franchises. The Redskins used to be probably the most important team in the NFL years and years ago. And this is a team that's just completely, a franchise, you should say. It's just completely fallen off the map. And, I think it has to do with the ownership, just not being able to have its act together, not being able to do anything consistently, not being able to have enough talent, not being able. I mean, it starts with being. If you suck every year, that's gonna do it, right? I mean, that's kind of that's gonna take the wind out of your sails. But when was the last time they were? I mean, had a shot. Like, when's the last time they were competitive? Like, let's go back. I'm going to go all the way back to the 2000 Washington Redskins. We're back to 2000. 8-8 did not qualify for the playoffs. 2001, 8-8 did not qualify for the playoffs. 2002, 7-9 did not qualify. 2003, 5-11 did not qualify. 2004, 6-10 did not qualify. 2005, 10-6 and lost in the divisional round to the Seahawks. And this is 2005. These aren't like today's Seahawks, all right? 2006, 5-11 did not qualify. 2007, 9-7, lost in the wild card to the Seahawks. 2008, 8-8 did not qualify. 2009, 4-12 did not qualify. 2010, 6-10 did not qualify. 2011, 5-11 did not qualify. 2012, 10-6 did not qualify. 2013, 3-13. 2014, 4-12. 2015, 9-7. 2016. 8-7-1, and by the way, I did want to mention because I missed it. 2015, they were 9-7 with Jay Gruden, and they lost, got blown out in the wild card round to the Packers. 2016, 8-7-1 did not qualify. 2017, 7-9 did not qualify. 2018, 7-9 did not qualify. 2018, they're 0-4, and they might not have a coach and a quarterback after this week. That's why the Washington Redskins suck. Like, they become like, how can you be that bad for that long? I mean, that's like, what was that, like 3 playoff appearances, like 3 like one and done or 2 and done playoff appearances in 20 years. I mean, that sucks. Now the New England Patriots are coming to town. They're 4-0. Last week against the Bills, their offense looked completely just garbage, just awful. They had nothing on offense. However, the New England Patriots defense is, I think, has allowed like the fewest points in like 5 games going back to the Super Bowl, like ever possibly. They're just playing, given they've played some garbage teams, but that defense, I think they picked off the Bills like 4 times. It's like they've had like 2 pick sixes in as many weeks or something. It's like something like just crazy. And because of that, and because you could put out a high school offense and still beat the Washington Redskins, of course they've got New England winning this game. Next game up, Denver Broncos at the Chargers. The Broncos suck. Give me the Chargers. Next game up, Green Bay. No. I'm going to have, this might be my game of the week. Let me just check it because I do have to pick that. So every week, in the video, I simulate Madden. What's the game of the week, man? What is the game of the week? It's probably not, is it the Rams and the Seahawks? I don't know about that. I might go with Rams Seahawks game of the week. Yeah, let's go through the. It's either Rams Seahawks, Packers Cowboys, or Colts Chiefs. Packers Cowboys should be the Sunday night game, but it's Colts. I mean, I can see why. Because I mean, when they drew the season up, Andrew Luck still played football. However, the Colts 2-2. They won 2 games. With the backup, who I guess now is the starter, Jacoby Brissett. They lost to the Chargers. They beat the Titans. They beat the Falcons, and they lost to the Raiders. Okay, I mean they lost to the Raiders last week. I didn't even know that. What time was that game on? Where was I? Okay, forget it. You lost to the Raiders. I mean, I like the Raiders, but you lost 31-24 to the freaking. Okay, that puts them out of the contest now. Except, you know what? Forget it. I'm doing Colts Chiefs game of the week. It's the Sunday night football game for a reason. Now, part of that reason had to do with the fact the league assumed Andrew Luck wouldn't have retired days before the season started, but nonetheless, I'm going with this as the game of the week. Anyways, yeah. So as far as going back to the last game, Green Bay and Dallas. Man, does this game happen every year? I feel like every year I remember. I feel like every year I remember watching ESPN First Take, and first of all, it has to do with Stephen A. Smith, ESPN First Take, all those shows, Undisputed, all those lunatics. They all over discuss the Cowboys because the Cowboys are a team with a large, polarizing, annoying fan base, and so if they go out there and they say all these things, then they're going to get a bunch of reactions and people to watch, and but when I was talking about why nobody talks about the Redskins, this is part of the reason, is because everybody, 80% of the conversation is about the Cowboys whether they're good, they're bad, they're mediocre, it doesn't matter. They will ESPN First Take, Undisputed, skip it. They will find a way to talk about the Cowboys. They will go out of their way. You could have Joe Montana get in a time machine, go back to when his playing days. But today, somehow, which doesn't make any sense, but just bear with me here, with, friggin', Rice and Sander, just put all the best players from that era, put them all on one team, then get Tom Brady, de-age Randy Moss, and Gronk, and, and Rodney Harris, put the 07 Patriots back together, and put Gronk on the team, and then get Joe Montana and let's see here. I'm getting carried away with this. I don't really care. Get Joe and get Dion and get who else? Who else do we want for this? Get let's see. Jerry Rice. Dwight Clark, what's his name? Walter Payton, all of them. Just get Tony Gonzalez, Darrell Reeves. Somehow get them all the same age and put them on the same team, okay? And then put Tom Brady with Rodney Harrison, even though he was on defense, and Gronk and Randy Moss and Wes Welker. And Troy Brown and Roman Pfeiffer and Teddy Bruschi and who else was good at this general era? And Troy Polamalu and Santonio Holmes and Larry Fitzgerald. Put them up. Just get all the best players on 2 different teams, okay? And put them somehow at the same age. Put them in the Super Bowl. Have the game. On a friggin' blimp somehow with Michael Jackson coming back from the dead and performing the halftime show with Frank Sinatra, the Bee Gees, Queen, Kiss, John Lennon and the Beatles before they went to India, and have it, and then everybody who watches the game, wins $1 million. They will talk about the Dallas Cowboys more than that game for God knows what reason. I really don't. Really have no idea. I don't. Well, I know I do have an idea. It has to do with the fact that they have a large fan base and they're polarizing and annoying. And so anything that gets everybody going and incites the tensions, then more people watch. But anyways, that's what's going to happen. No matter what happens with this game, that's what's going to happen here. Give me the... All right, let me see. I just need to see with the Cowboys. I mean, so the Cowboys, they've been good. But, you know, last week they lost to the Saints 12-10 without Drew Brees. Beat the Dolphins, beat the Giants. Okay, so they beat the 3 worst teams in the NFL. Okay, so that team's not legit. Packers, on the other hand, Packers, they showed you some moxie this season. You know, they lost to the Eagles. They beat the Broncos. They sucked. They beat the Vikings. They beat the Bears 10. Okay, so I mean, I could. It's in Dallas. Give me the Cowboys win this game. This was a few years ago. Green Bay would win this game in dramatic fashion. I don't know. Give me the Cowboys. Next game up, Colts and the Chiefs. All right, the Colts and the Chiefs. So let's talk about the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs. How long is this video right now? 35 minutes. I need to wrap this up. There's only one game after this up. We're good. By the way, the last game... Oh, let's talk about it when we get there. So, Indianapolis Colts. Like I said, they lose Andrew Luck days before the season starts. And then Jacoby Brissett becomes the starter. Like I said, the Colts go out there, week 1, and they lose to the Chargers. They beat the Titans, they beat the Falcons, and then they lose to the Colts. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Colts lost to the Colts. They lose to the Raiders. But they haven't been awful. Like, they haven't been non-competitive. The Chiefs, on the other hand, last week almost lost to, what was it? No, they almost lost to the Lions. And the week before that, they almost lost to Baltimore. Within, 5 points or so. Last week's game came, they were trailing with, with seconds left or whatever, and they won, or a minute left or whatever it was. I'm talking about the Chiefs. So I just feel like this is a team where they're getting a little bit too close to the sun. 2 weeks ago, last week, it's starting to, the walls are coming in on them. They got the Colts this week, obviously. After this, the Chiefs are going to play. It's probably not going to get much better. They're going to play the Texans. Okay, that's not in Kansas City. Forgot that. Broncos, Packers, that could be interesting. Vikings could be interesting. Titans, Chargers, Raiders, Patriots. Okay, that's the one they're probably going to lose. But it feels like they're great, they're coming back to earth a little bit. Now, obviously, Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes. Somehow the Chiefs' defense is even worse than it was last week. I don't even know how it's worse. It's how can you be worse? I think statistically they're worse. An eyeball test, you can run on them, throw on them. Yuck. I'm going with this as my game of the week because I've got this as an upset. I've got the Colts winning this game. I'm sure Kansas City's favored by 17. Well, actually, no, what are they? They're probably favored by 14. Let me just look up NFL odds. Vegas Insider. Future odds. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Oh my God, Kansas City's only favored by 8.5. Jeez, should be more. Okay, yeah. Then gambling ring must agree with me a little bit here. I mean, it's not. See, it's not as far apart as you might think. So I mean, I've got the Colts going in there and upsetting them on Sunday night. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like the Chiefs. If you can keep Mahomes in the pocket and bring pressure, not let him run around all day and do all that stuff, they just revert to a team with an average offense and an awful defense. I mean, if you take away Mahomes and all that gadgety stuff, if you keep him in the pocket, you bring some pressure on him, you play tight coverage, and you don't let guys, you don't let them do okay, we're gonna motion the receiver in here, we're gonna motion the tight end out here, we're gonna get this guy, we're gonna do a hook and ladder to him, and we're gonna lateral back. Okay, we're gonna set the tight end is gonna go on a 10-step in cut, and we're gonna have Tyreek Hill on a seam, and then we're gonna have a running back's gonna come out of the backfield. He's gonna take a jet sweep, and then he's gonna hand it off to the wide receiver, who's gonna lateral it to Pat Mahomes, who's gonna throw it to Travis Kelce, who's gonna do a hook and ladder back to Tyreek Hill out in the left flat, and then he's gonna block the corner, and he's gonna run. If you just don't let them do that thing, which Andy Reid loves to do, then they just become a team with an average offense and an atrocious defense. So I don't know if Indianapolis' defense can do that. They probably can't. But you know what? I don't know. I just feel like this has been a dull, uninteresting season with a bunch of injured quarterbacks, bad teams, and then I don't know. It just hasn't been super interesting here. Give me the Colts win this game. Next game, 49ers and Browns. So I had to look this up because I wanted to see like how the 49ers are 3-0, and the last week I was like, they're 3-0. I wonder what's going to happen this week. I mean, I feel like it's a team, because everybody talks about the Chiefs. I'm sorry, or at least in the NFC, everybody talks about, in the NFC, the Saints, the Rams, the Cowboys, the AFC, the Patriots, the Chiefs. Nobody talks about the 49ers. They're 3-0. They're looking good. Jimmy G playing well. Coming back from injury. He's a guy who's like wasted a lot of his career because he was a backup in New England as long as they could keep him. He gets traded to the 49ers, doesn't play that season. It's like the last couple games, like garbage games of the season that didn't matter. He comes in the season after that, tears his ACL, misses the season. So, like, this is his first full actual season. And I was looking for like how, what their situation was, last week, and like they weren't on. They had a bye week in week 4. I thought you could only have a bye week starting with week 5. Like I didn't know, and they were the only team that had a bye, which is odd. Like I guess the Jets did too, because they're 0-3. All right, so whatever. I didn't know it started with week 4. So Cleveland 2-2. They're going out to San Francisco. It's not as bad as when you're a West Coast team going east, where everything becomes, like later or earlier, depending on what time it is. It's like there's always that. But if you're an East Coast team going west, it's not necessarily the same effect on you. Freddie Kitchens, whatever. Freddie Kitchens, he's related to Bobby Closets and Tony Bathrooms, maybe. No, all right. It's just a terrible dad joke. But, I just feel like it's a team that has the talent, and maybe they're slowly putting it together. They come out, the Browns do. They come out week 1. They lose to the Titans. Week 2, they beat the Jets, but that doesn't mean anything. They lose to the Rams. They beat the Ravens. So, I mean, I guess that is legit. 49ers, I feel like they had the bye week. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, was soft. Shanahan's doing a good job with that team, but still, I just feel like it's a team that they're flying under the radar and they're just due to be popped. Like, someone's going to come and blow out their spot. I think it's going to be the Browns. They've got the talent. They put 40 points on Baltimore. I don't know if 15 points is a blowout. It's close enough to a blowout. Yeah, give me the Browns winning this game. All right, guys, that's going to do for this week's picks. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree, disagree with me, down below. And, if you got any hot takes of your own, let me know there. Love chatting out with people. Other than that, until next time, that's going to do for this week, guys. Thanks for watching.